Welcome back, guys, to this week's Data Mine. We are going to be going over the Angel of the Iris event today. This is a brand new French event. I'm starting to feel like a soothsayer right about now, as I've called the HMS UR event followed by an SR French event. So today we are going to be going over this event. It is only a mini event though, but that doesn't mean I'm not excited. This is what we're going to be going over today, and I'd be lying if I didn't say I was more excited for this update than I was the UR update. 4 new equipment and Joffre. As far as the patch notes are concerned, we have a pretty light update. These are all the skins that we are going to be getting. Shimikaze's L2D looks very good. Here's also the new dorm set that's available, and mostly the rest of it is bug fixes. We are getting an update to the core data shop, which will bring us 1 new item. We'll talk about that later in the video when we get to the equipment. Otherwise, the mini French event is going to be the biggest change. This is going to be a world boss cooperative event. For any of you who have played the Fight on Royal Maids event, it's going to be exactly like that one. This is where you can use 15 fights for easy, medium, and hard mode every day. You'll also get EX tickets for doing different missions. Those EX tickets go to EX modes, and you're basically just fighting this world boss, and you deal damage to it. And then on the server that you're on, all of the damage between all the players is collected, and if you meet certain milestones, you get equipment and other resources. You do have to have minimum participation in order to get those rewards. Honestly, if you have just a halfway decent fleet, you should do just fine. And at least for the server I'm on, we have never missed any of the rewards in any event like this. Alright, so let's go over the 3 new equipment we're getting from this event, as well as the 4th equipment that's coming in the core data shop on July 1st. I'm actually slightly more interested in the equipment than I am even in the ships, because in these world boss maps, they typically give exclusive equipment that is very fun and unique. Think of things like VH armor, which came from something like this. Okay, first up, we have an elite fighter, so I'm not too excited about this one. This one's probably just the collection tier, but it's called the Duotine D790. It is a fighter. Being purple, it can only go up to plus 11 and gives 25 aviation. And honestly, it doesn't even have any surface bomb damage. It's just an AA gun, kind of like the Messerschmitt, but it's not even gold. This is a trash fighter. Other than collection, there's no need to pick this up, but you will probably pick this up as just collection throughout playing the event, so it is what it is. But in terms of using it, I would never use it. It is a French plane though. Another plane that we can get from the raid event is the Burget BR-80. This is a gold torpedo bomber. Just like all gold planes, it has 45 aviation. It comes out at 10 seconds, which is actually pretty fast for a torpedo bomber. It's one of the fastest torpedo bombers there is in the game, so that's really nice. Maybe this could be equipped nicely with Joffre, we'll have to see. In terms of damage though, it seems to be quite lacking. It has only 3 torpedo bombs. They do not converge. They deal 228 damage each at level 10 and 340 damage each at level 13. This is actually pretty low. Think of this similar to a Fairy Barracuda, which of course used to be meta many years ago, but has since been power creeped. This plane is actually going to be pretty good for newer players, and it technically is better than the Fairy Barracuda because it does come out earlier. It's a little bit faster. Plus, the crash damage is actually 450 base, which is the equivalent of a Wyvern. Very good. I would say that generally this is something you probably want to pick up because it is not bad to use, especially if you're a newer player and don't have all the planes out yet. It also has very unique timing, so if you're trying to min-max some of your timings, the 10-second rate of fire could be very important. It is also French, which could be very important depending on any French carriers that have any, synergy with this. I haven't looked at Joffre yet, so we'll have to look at that, but I would say that this is a very unique plane, so I would pick it up, even though it's not like top tier from what I see right here. We'll see if it has any synergies that bring it up. Finally, the last equipment that we can get through the raid event is going to be the Angel's Feather. This is a gold auxiliary equipment. It's going to give 90 aviation at plus 10, 106 at plus 13. This is a slight downgrade from the Steam Catapult or the Frontier Medal in terms of aviation. However, it also offers 12 evasion at plus 10 and 15 evasion at plus 13. No other item offers aviation and evasion. This is a very nice combo. Personally, I like evasion better than the HP that the Steam Catapult offers. Additionally, it also has a skill. When equipped with a French ship, Vichy or Free France, 30 seconds after the start of the battle, heal itself for 3% of max HP, and it can proc only once per battle. So this is actually a French auxiliary. We'll see if Joffre is any good, because this is obviously something that we would look to put on Joffre because it makes Joffre a heal. Baron is not very good, so that's not really an option, and that's really the only two choices here. So really, I'm looking at Joffre for using this item. Also, the stats are unique. I'm looking at using it potentially for Acula in PvP. Evasion is pretty nice, the aviation is alright, and I would probably potentially give up some of that aviation damage for some extra evasion over HP. Unfortunately, we wouldn't get to use the skill, but this is definitely an item I would pick up, especially if we think that we might get some sort of extra French carriers. We do have PR5 coming around the corner soon, and this item is definitely unique, so I would definitely pick this one up. Finally, we are getting a fourth item. It technically is going to be in the game notes today, but it won't be obtainable until July 1st. It's going to be in the core data shop. It is the 6CRH AP shell. It is a gold auxiliary item that offers 45 firepower at plus 10 and 20 hit stat, or respectively at plus 13, 57 firepower and 23 hit stat. At least stat wise, this is very similar to the white shell. It gives up 10 firepower for 5 extra hit stat. This is something that I would probably like. Hit stat seems more important in more assets of the game than just 10 firepower. Skill wise, when it's equipped to a Royal Navy ship, plus 30% main gun crit damage. Does not stack. That probably also means it doesn't stack with the white shell. This is interesting. So 25% is what the white shell offers. This one offers 0 for all ships that aren't Royal Navy, and the British ships will get 30%. I would argue this is a straight upgrade to the white shell, but it's locked to the British. I really like this design. It's probably going to go on Vanguard or Warspite. In fact, this is going to be really good on Warspite. Extra hit and extra crit damage, something Warspite really needs. Vanguard's gonna love this too. This is pretty much a must pickup, and because it's every month, you can get multiples. You can start to bring some British battleships back into the meta, potentially. Yeah, Vanguard and Warspite are really gonna like this. This is a good item. In short, I'm very pleased with the equipment. Nothing that blew my socks away, but I would say that all of the SR equipment should be on the pickup list for everyone, new and veterans. Let's move on to the ships. We only have 3 today. I want to start with Joffre because that's the one that's exciting me the most. She is a Vichy France SR carrier. Her stats look very similar to Acula, a little bit of an upgrade. She's got more health, more evasion, and more aviation at the cost of a little bit of reload and accuracy. Where she differs greatly, though, is in the loadout of her planes. She has 3 fighters, 3 torpedo bombers, and 2 dive bombers. A little bit worse in terms of typing than, say, Acula, but of course she has really good efficiencies. 135% on her torpedo bombers is actually very good. That puts her pretty close to the top tier. Shinano has 140%, which is like generally considered one of the best ships. So the loadout here is not bad. It's definitely better than something like Indomitable, which we got last event. But she'll need some skills to make herself better. She's certainly on the lower level of stats for what I'd say is a good new carrier. So she's gonna need some help in the skills to make her tier 1. All right, let's start off with skill number 1. She gets plus 15% damage dealt. Well, that's really nice. Acula has something like an 8% increase in damage dealt, so that's almost double. Very good. When she launches an airstrike, if she's in the top position, proc an additional fighter barrage. This is guaranteed. If she's in the bottom position, proc an additional torpedo bomber barrage instead. Okay, both of these barrages are guaranteed as long as you put her in the right place. She is definitely not going to be a flagship ship. Do not put her in the flagship. In fact, don't put her in the top either. This is very unique, but that she has to go in the bottom. Very few situations require you to have extra fighters. You're going to almost always want the torpedo bombers, so she's going to go in the bottom spot. Extra torpedo bomber barrage guaranteed is great. This is really good. Plus the 15% damage. This doesn't make her top tier alone, but it is actually a very good skill. Better than something that Acula has. So if she has another good skill back here, it's going to be great. She only has 2 skills here, so let's go on to skill number 2. Skill number 2 starts off with a plus 15% aviation. I mean, very simple, very good though. So she gets plus 15% damage in the first skill, plus 15% aviation in the second skill. So that's good. She also gets plus 20% crit rate. That's very nice. So she's actually going to have a higher critical chance than say Acula, even though she has a less hit stat. That's actually a really good crit rate because it goes on top of whatever her crit calc is. And that's actually 20% is a lot. So she's going to crit a lot. And that pairs really nicely with the next part, crit damage plus 25%. That's really good. But it's only against enemies with less than 25% max HP. What? That's not when you need it. You need the crits when they're big. She's kind of like, oh, are you damaged? Here's the overkill. Wow, Joffre's really into these overkills here. Like, I don't know. Okay. While launching an airstrike, if there is an enemy with less than 25% max HP, there it is again, proc an extra barrage. Okay, so she has another barrage proc. This is interesting because it's any enemy on the screen. So while in something like PvP, it's not going to be really worth it, it could be very interesting in PvE where there's plenty of ships on the screen. Any of them being under 25%, even the mini ones, is going to give her an extra barrage. This is guaranteed if she sees somebody that is less than 25%. So this is interesting. This ship was definitely not what I was expecting coming into it, but I think she's not bad. One of the things I'm worried about here is her speed. She seems like she's going to be kind of slow. Her reload's kind of low. Her loadout is going to be slower. She doesn't have anything to speed herself up. So the problem I have with her is she is good, but she's going to be firing at the slower rates where she's competing with like Harkuryu and Shinano and some of the UR carriers that are just insane. She's pretty good though, although I do have to say she really, really likes critting on low HP ships, which just the overkills on this is going to be kind of funny. I can't wait to see the memes about her overkilling things. All right, let's move on to Enterprise. And no, this is not the Grey Ghost one. This is the British one, HMS Enterprise. She is a light cruiser. She's going to be an elite ship. Stat-wise, she definitely leaves something to be desired. She seems somewhat focused on anti-air, kind of like a weaker Sirius. She does have more torpedo stat, but nothing in her stats or what equipment she has in her loadout is going to make her stand out, which is not uncommon for an elite ship. Let's move on to the skills, see if she has anything unique about her. Skill number 1, torpedo weapon damage is plus 15%. So this kind of reiterates that most of her DPS is going to be coming from torpedoes. And then she has damage against destroyers and motor torpedo boats up plus 15%. Motor torpedo boats are obviously a PvE only thing. Destroyers are interesting. Plus 15% damage is nice, but it's only against 2 types of ships. In fact, those torpedo boats probably not very important in DDs. Yeah, this skill is very boring, not even that good. Moving on to skill number 2, she receives 10% less damage from enemy destroyer guns and torpedoes. It's an interesting way to word it. So it sounds like she's going to maybe still take damage from like barrages from destroyers, the way that that's worded. I'm not exactly sure, but destroyers aren't going to be dealing the most damage that she's going to be taking anyway, so not a big deal. Every 20 seconds, she gets plus 5 speed and plus 20% firepower for 10 seconds. This is, speed is a fun thing that you can get, but it's every 20 seconds. Does not start at the beginning of the battle. Firepower she's not even good at firepower. She's like torpedo based. You can see the first skill, she's torpedo based. She has more torpedo, stats. She has more torpedo efficiencies. Why do we care about firepower? Yeah, okay. And the third skill she has is just an all-out assault. Enterprise is collection only, trash ship. I guess you could get her for the fleet tech. All right, let's move on to the last ship we have of the day, another SR. We have another Vichy ship, L'Indomitable. She's an SR destroyer. In general, stats-wise, I would say she is a power-crept Le Malin. She's got more health, she's got more evasion, she's got a lot of better stats than her sister. Nothing in her equipment loadout will change that, so generally she's going to be a little bit more powerful than Le Malin. This is interesting because Le Malin and L'Indomitable will have 54 speed, which is pretty much the highest you can get, and you can pair them with Le Terrible, so now we can actually actually have like speed meme fleets. We'll see what her skills are. I assume they're gonna be halfway decent and we can have some memes with the French speedsters. But yeah, the 54 speed I think is probably the most exciting part about her stats. Skill number 1, every 5 seconds she fires a special shell and buffs her own firepower and torpedo by 8%. This stacks up to 3 times, so that can be up to 24% on her firepower and torpedo. That's actually pretty good. And 5 seconds is really short. That's 5, 10 seconds, and 15 seconds into the battle. That's very quick. That's good. Enemies hit by this special shell receive 15% more gun and torpedo damage from this ship. It doesn't stack, but 15% more damage is great. We'll see, you know, if that shell hits like a boss or something, we're going to be doing, you know, extra damage. And that's coming out, like I said, every 5 seconds. So even though you might not be able to stack the more damage and you might hit the max of 28% on those stats, you can still hit like new enemies coming out with the 15%. So if you kill an enemy and another one spawns, you can kill another one. Nice. Every 4 special shells fired, so that means 20 seconds basically. Proc a barrage. This is separate from the shell. Self-damage resistance is up 20%. This does not stack, so that's a lot more survivability. This skill looks very good, actually. I like it. We have stat boosts, we have, you know, barrage, we have special spells, we have extra damage, we have damage reduction. Honestly, other than the fact that she's like a French destroyer, this is very good. I think the skill has a lot of potential. Let's move on to skill number 2, and holy crap, that is a wall of text. Skill number 2, self-evasion plus 15%. I mean, she already had very good evasion, so boosting that, I guess, is good. 15% is good, so she is going to have plenty of survivability, at least in the EHP department, because she has the damage reduction above. She has high evasion, plus this buff. She has high speed. Okay, moving on to continuing this skill, I guess. When receiving a killing blow, oh boy. So when she would die, evade that killing blow and survive it, and then she gets perfect evasion for 2.5 seconds, so she basically goes invincible. So she's gonna be like Hiru, so when she dies, she doesn't, and then survives for 2 extra seconds. That's really cool. And then she resolves a random resolve. This is like a type of skill. It's going to give her one of these 4 options: 10% firepower, 20% torpedo, 15% hit stat, or 20% reload. All those are very good. I mean, I'm not sure how good they are in terms of, you know, she's only gonna be invincible for 2.5 seconds. She's probably gonna be low health because she would have died had this skill not procced, but who doesn't like having invincibility and also, you know, extra stats? Great, I'll take them. This is really, really cool, and this skill keeps going. If a different Vanguard ship drops below 30%, okay, so this is not her, they like, it helps the rest of the fleet, so this, once again, still going with those speed memes for the French, but also, like, I could see some things going with PvP here. This ship is actually being a pleasant surprise so far. L'Indomitable receives a random resolve, so that's one of the 4 above, the firepower, torpedo, hit, or reload stat, one of those 4. So she gets the buff if someone else drops below 30%. Then she heals the ship that dropped below 30% by 8% of its max HP. If it is one of her sisters, like Le Melin or Le Terrible, that ship will receive 5% more health, so that's going to be 13% max HP. This can only proc once per battle. That makes sense, otherwise that'd be pretty broken. A 13% heal is actually pretty good, and once again, we can pair her with Le Terrible. I really like the pairing with Le Terrible here in PvP. I think that could be a lot of fun. When this ship receives a resolve, if the same effect is stacked, she dies 2.5 seconds later? What is this RNG? We're playing Russian roulette. Otherwise, she heals herself for 8%. So actually, she just heals 8%. Wow, this is a lot to take in. So she actually has like a 5% chance of killing herself on the second proc of the resolve. So when the ship drops below 30% for the first time, it procs a resolve. And then if she were to proc her killing blow, she has a 25% chance of, you know, proccing resolve to be the same thing as it was when the other ship went down. And then when she comes out of her invincibility in 2.5 seconds, she actually just instantly dies. There's, you know, 75% chance at that point that she lives and just, you know, goes on fine. She gets the 8% heal. She also heals 8% of the other ship when they drop below 30%. The drop below 30% is a once proc per battle, so she can't proc those over and over again. But from what I see here, the evasion on the survival actually isn't limited to once per turn. I think I'm reading that right. If that is correct, that's kind of insane because she can go invincible and then not die, come out of it, another kill blow, go invincible, not die, come out of it. And then obviously after 4 times, she will instantly die. So it's not like permanent, but like RNG wise, you could in theory get like a bunch of survives. Yeah, you could get a total of 4 in theory. And each time she has a higher chance of, dying at the end of 2.5 seconds. This could be really savage. I like this for PvP. I like this for speed memes. I like this a lot. The last one is an all-out assault. 10 times she fires. It's pretty standard for destroyers. So overall, actually, I think that Indomitable is going to be the one that I'm most excited about. I thought Joffre was for certain going to be the one that I was the most excited for, but I think Indomitable is the best ship here, probably. I don't know. I mean, she's kind of memey. The fact that she like checks if she dies is interesting. There's just a lot of RNG in her, but she does get invincible at least once. I really like the way that Indomitable is designed here. I think she has a lot of potential. I'm very excited for her. She's a must pick up for me. Joffre, I'm probably going to pick up just so I can, keep my French complete 100%. She's not bad either. I just can't see what else we're going to get with Joffre right away, but I'm definitely going to pick her up. And Enterprise is collection only, so that's, that's what it is. The equipment's very cool. I would pick up all the SRs. Make sure you play the raids. That's how you get those equipments. And they give a lot of like free resources, so you definitely should do that. Honestly, this event seems very fun. Obviously, it's a mini event. It's not like a big hype event, but in terms of something to just kind of get us, through the month with a mini event, new stuff, new content, I think I'm pretty pleased. I think Joffre was a little bit of a disappointment. I wasn't expecting anything from Enterprise, and Indomitable was very exciting, and the equipments did not disappoint. Anyway, guys, let me know down in the comments what you thought about this new stuff. And of course, I'm going to be streaming this tonight on Twitch, and I'm also going to be streaming this tomorrow here on YouTube. I'll be doing my polls here on YouTube, and I'll be, playing some Opside because, Opside ends today as well. Either one, if you can catch me streaming, that'd be great. Otherwise, take care. Until next time, guys. Thanks for watching.